What happens when one of country music's most respected icons walks into what should be a friendly morning show interview, only to find herself caught in an ambush she never saw coming? The tension in Studio 1A was so thick you could almost feel it through the screen. What started as polite conversation soon spiraled into one of the most uncomfortable moments in morning television history. Before we get into exactly what went down between Reba McEntire and Jenna Bush Hager, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, because what you're about to hear will leave you stunned. This wasn't just an interview gone wrong. It was a masterclass in poise, power, and how not to underestimate a legend. It was supposed to be a simple morning appearance. Reba McEntire, the queen of country music, was there to promote her brand new album, a project that had her team excited, confident, and ready to remind the world that she's still got it. Reba had been on the Today Show plenty of times before. She knew the routine, now the warm smiles, the coffee mugs, the easy conversation. She was no stranger to Jenna Bush Hager either. Their previous interactions had always been light-hearted and respectful. But this time, something felt different. From the moment Reba walked onto that brightly lit set, she sensed a strange undercurrent in the air, like the room itself knew something she didn't. Jenna greeted her with her trademark warmth, that bright Texas smile and easy charm that had made her one of morning TV's most beloved personalities. But behind that smile was something else. A flicker of tension. The cameras started rolling, and the first question seemed harmless enough. "Reba, it's so wonderful to have you here," Jenna began, her voice sugar-sweet with practiced enthusiasm. "You've been in this industry for over 4 decades now, that's incredible longevity. But I have to ask, and I think a lot of our viewers are wondering this too, do you ever feel like your sound has gotten a little broken bar dated for today's country scene?" The audience chuckled lightly, unsure how to react. Reba's smile didn't fade, not yet, but if you were watching closely, you could see the faint tightening of her jaw. "Dated?" Reba repeated, her southern drawl soft but deliberate. "Well, I suppose that depends on what you consider dated, sweetheart. If you mean I don't chase every trend that comes and goes, then you're right. I've always believed in staying true to who I am, and that's something my fans have always appreciated." It was a graceful answer, firm, but classy. Jenna nodded, but there was an edge to her smile now. She glanced down at her notes, a move that didn't feel casual at all. "Of course," Jenna said, looking back up. "But when you look at who's topping the charts, artists like Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, even crossover acts like Post Malone, don't you think maybe it's time to evolve your sound a little broken bar to stay relevant?" There it was, the word that would hang between them for the rest of the interview. Relevant. Reba's team, standing just off camera, exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't the conversation they'd been promised. Reba set her coffee cup down, slowly and deliberately, her eyes never leaving Jenna's. "Jenna," she said calmly, "how long have you been doing morning television?" The question caught Jenna off guard. "Well, I'm a broken bar a few years now," she stammered, trying to keep her tone light. "And before that?" Reba asked. "I was a correspondent, and before that Right," Reba interrupted, still gentle but firm. "So you know a thing or two about staying power, don't you? About connecting with an audience, day after day, year after year." Jenna nodded cautiously. "Now imagine," Reba continued, leaning in slightly, "if someone asked you if your interviewing style was dated, if maybe you needed to talk faster or act younger to stay relevant. How would that make you feel?" The air in the studio shifted. The friendly energy evaporated, replaced by the weight of Reba's words. Jenna forced a smile. "Well, I think that's a fair question anyone in the public eye should be ready for. We all evolve, right?" "Absolutely," Reba said. "But there's a difference between evolution and abandoning who you are. I've sold over 75 million records. I've won just about every award there is to win. I've acted, I've produced, I've built businesses. And I did all that by staying true to myself, not by pretending to be something I'm not." You could feel the control slipping out of Jenna's hands. But instead of backing off, she pressed harder. "But," Jenna said, Your last few albums haven't performed as well commercially as your earlier ones. Streaming numbers show that younger audiences aren't connecting the same way. Don't you think that may be a broken bar the industry has moved past you? It was a bold question, and for a moment, the entire studio seemed to stop breathing. Reba didn't move. She didn't blink. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet but carried the weight of 40 years in the business. You want to talk about the industry moving past me? She said. Honey, I was selling out arenas when most of today's country stars were still in diapers. I've seen every trend come and go. And I'm still here, still making music, still connecting with millions of fans who don't give a damn about streaming charts. Jenna tried to interject. I'm not trying to diminish your accomplishments, sir. Then stop diminishing them, Reba said sharply. The silence that followed was deafening. Every question, every comment had been a jab. And now, Reba was done playing nice. You know what the difference is between an artist with longevity and a flash in the pan? She said. An artist with longevity knows who they are. Sure, they can try new things, but they don't lose themselves in the process. I'd rather be called dated and authentic than trendy and fake. The crew members were frozen. You could practically feel the heat radiating off the studio lights. Jenna shifted in her seat, trying to steer things back on track. Look, Reba. This isn't personal. We're just having an honest conversation about the music business. Oh. It feels personal from where I'm sitting, Reba replied. You invited me here to talk about my album. Instead, you've spent 10 minutes questioning if I even belong in the conversation anymore. Jenna's co-hosts had gone completely silent. The production team exchanged nervous glances from behind the cameras. Maybe we should move on, Jenna said weakly, flipping her notes. Tell us about the new album. No. Reba interrupted. We're not going to pretend the last 10 minutes didn't happen. You wanted an honest conversation. Let's have one. What's really going on here, Jenna? Did someone tell you to push me like this? Is this what journalism looks like now, tearing people down to get clicks? That's unfair, Jenna said, her composure cracking. I'm just doing my job. Asking tough questions is part of it. Reba leaned back, crossing her arms. There's a difference between tough and disrespectful. And you crossed that line a long time ago. The tension hit a boiling point. Jenna's tone sharpened. Maybe the problem isn't my questions. Maybe you just can't handle being challenged anymore. Maybe you've been surrounded by yes people for too long. Gasps echoed from the crew. You could see the producer mouthing cut off camera, but this was live television. Reba let out a low, humorless laugh. Oh, sweetheart, I've been challenged my entire life. I've been told I was too country for pop and too pop for country. I've faced every kind of criticism there is. But at least back then, the people criticizing me knew what they were talking about. Jenna opened her mouth to respond, but Reba kept going. You sit there with your cue cards and talking points, acting like you're doing hard-hitting journalism, but what you're really doing is trying to turn a headline into a career move. I have every right to ask these questions, Jenna shot back. You agreed to come on my show. I agreed to an interview, Reba corrected. Not an ambush. Her words hit like a hammer. I came here to talk about music, about what I love. And instead I'm sitting here defending my relevance. You call that journalism? I call it disrespect. The studio was in chaos now, producers whispering frantically, assistants hovering by the edges of the set, waiting for a cue to cut to commercial. But before anyone could move, Reba reached down, unclipped her mic, and stood. Wait, Reba, please, Jenna said, rising from her chair, panic creeping into her voice. Let's take a breath. We can start over. Reba shook her head. No, Jenna. You can't unsay what's been said. You can't undo the disrespect. You wanted a viral moment. Well, congratulations. You got one. This is going to make you look bad, Jenna warned. People will think you can't take criticism. Reba smiled faintly, the kind of smile that comes from someone who's already won. Let them think what they want. I've been in this business long enough to know that the truth always comes out in the end. But I'll tell you this, I'm not giving you the satisfaction of turning me into your headline. Reba, please, Jenna said, her voice cracking slightly. "If you walk off now, it's going to look like you're running away." "I'm not running away from anything," Reba said. "I'm walking away from disrespect." "There's a difference." A producer stepped forward nervously. "Ladies, can we please take this off air?" "There's nothing left to discuss," Reba said without even looking at him. "You can air it. You can edit it. I don't care. But I'm done pretending this is okay." As she picked up her purse, Jenna's voice softened. "You're really going to leave? After everything we've talked about over the years?" Reba paused for a moment, her expression softening slightly. "Jenna, I've always respected you," she said quietly. "But respect isn't something you just say, it's something you show. And today, you showed me none." Jenna's eyes glistened, the weight of the moment finally sinking in. "I didn't mean to make you feel that way," she whispered. "Then maybe next time," Reba said, "think about how your questions land before you ask them. Because words matter, especially when you use them to tear someone down." The room was silent except for the faint hum of the studio lights. And then, with the same grace she's shown her entire career, Reba turned and walked off the set, not storming, not dramatic, just calm, steady, and absolutely certain. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every step. Jenna stood frozen, unsure what to do, as Reba disappeared behind the stage curtain. The moment the doors closed behind her, the studio erupted, producers shouting, assistants scrambling, Jenna visibly shaken. Later, the clip would explode online. Millions of views within hours. Comment sections filled with debates, some defending Jenna's right to ask tough questions, others praising Reba for standing her ground. But no matter whose side you were on, one thing was clear: this was no ordinary interview. It was a clash of old-school authenticity versus modern media sensationalism. And when the dust settled, Reba McEntire didn't just walk off or show she made a statement. In a world where clicks often matter more than character, she reminded everyone that true legends don't need validation. They are the standard. And when that standard is disrespected, they don't beg for understanding. They simply stand up, say their piece, a broken bar, and walk away. Because sometimes, silence says everything.